How many people here remember the sitcom Cheers? Okay, to count to three, everybody give me the theme slogan. A place, 1, 2, 3. And what does it mean? See, it's a place where they care about you, where they've taken the time to learn who you are. It's more than just the name. You see, how many students in large high schools feel like they're left out? They wonder if they have a name. How many of our students who are outliers often feel like they don't belong? I mean, one of the important things that I've learned in working with small schools across the country are there places where everybody knows your name. They know when you're there, they know when you're not there. They use students' names. So when you use students' names in your math problems, in your instruction, how would you respond to Martin Luther's response and Reformation? And you use Michael's name and Tanya and Letitia's name, you increase attention and you increase comprehension. And it's more than just using your name. It's really saying you care. But I know you've had some speakers the last 2 days, and they've all emphasized the importance of caring. But I'm going to tell you this, caring is not enough. Caring is important, but caring is not enough. I've been a football coach. I've been a youth worker. I've ran a storefront in Harlem. I've worked with gangs in central cities. And I know this, caring is important, and I'm not underestimating it. But I know if we don't teach other things and walk away with skills and the ability to learn how to learn, it's not enough. So I'd like to share with you the 5 questions that we think about when we talk about thoughtful schools. And the first question is, what skills do students need to develop to achieve at high levels? You see, how you teach has a dramatic impact not only in what students learn, but how students learn to think. So what are the skills, the academic skills that you need to succeed? Not only academically, but in the society. If you teach content without teaching skills, it's like eating processed food. It can fill the classroom up, but it will not lead to a nutritional balance, a diet that really is necessary for successful in life. So the first question is, what are the essential skills that are really critical? And in the Thoughtful Classroom, we've identified 12 that we know that are essential when it comes to performing well on state assessment tests. I'll share some of those with you, and that are essential for being good at learning how to learn. And we need to build them into our curriculum. We need a strong emphasis on these skills, certainly when students come to us in the 9th grade. We need to assess which skills they have, which they lack, and how do we build them, how do we construct them, how do we teach them on a regular basis. The second thing is, what instructional strategies enable the greatest gains in student achievement? There's a body of research of best practices. We know there are instructional practices that when used appropriately and effectively make a significant difference in student learning. What's the #1 strategy that over the past 35 years has produced the greatest gains in student learning? The name of that strategy is? You see, that's the challenge that we face. We need a common language about the research, the instructional practices that we know work, and they need to be embedded in our small schools. For students, we need to develop the skills of learning how to learn. For us as teachers and educators, we have a responsibility of putting that rich research knowledge base, that of research practice, into our classrooms. By the way, the #1 strategy that produced the greatest gains in student learning is similarities and differences. And so to what extent are we making use of that strategy and other strategies that can have real difference in students' learning? One of the reasons why students fail in school is they lack the skills to succeed academically. Now, I often ask this question, which has a greater impact on success in learning, will or skill? It's interesting. Most teachers tell me will. But guess what? The research shows you that when students don't have the skill, they lose their will very quickly. You see, in a moment, we're going to be doing line dancing, and I know you're all going to love it. Some of you right now have just lost your will and are going to be leaving the room. You see, you lose your will if you don't have the skill. And if you develop the skill, you will enhance the will. And really, it's both. Clearly, I'm making a false dichotomy. But I'm telling you this, the research is very clear. Students who don't have the skill will lose their will because you'll be asking them to do something, and no human being does something that they don't feel successful at, that they don't get rewarded from. And if you can't summarize, if you can't make notes, if you can't compare and contrast, if you can't write a coherent essay, then why should you be motivated? Why should you be engaged? You've got to develop those skills. There's no substitute. Another reason why students fail is they fail because I own it as much as you, we're not using the best of research-based practices. The third question is, how can we address the diversity of our students in a way that is manageable and provides an equal opportunity for all our students to succeed? Now, how many people here have been to workshops on differentiated instruction? How many people here agree that that is a good idea, but wonder, how do you begin to implement it when you have a group of students, a bell rings, and another group of students come in? See, and that's why I put manageable. We need a model of difference that is manageable and meaningful. But at the same time, we have a unified set of standards in every state where you come from, right? How many people here are working in a state where you have a unified set of standards? And within the last 5 to 10 years have made dramatic changes in their state assessment tests, right? You all have. But also, how many people that would agree with me there's greater diversity in your classrooms than ever before? So the challenge that we have is the challenge of the hands. We balance the diversity with the uniformity of state standards and high levels of achievement for all. We need a model of difference. I suggest very strongly that a school needs to have a deep understanding, certainly of cultural differences, and they have tremendous impact on students' learning and the norms that you bring to school. But you need an understanding of learning styles. You need an understanding of multiple intelligences and how do we make use of them in the classroom. We need to get good at designing instructional units that are effective and that are engaging. Effective means that they use the best of research in terms of instructional design, with clear assessments, with backward learning, backward design, but also that are real engaging for students that address learning styles and use the strategies. One of my pet peeves is people who run workshops who say, teach smarter, not harder. I'm going to tell you right now, I have never known teaching not to be hard work, but I have never found anything that's more rewarding work. And designing and delivering instruction really is a conceptual task as well as an interactive, responsive task, and it demands a great deal of all of us. The fifth question is, how do schools become good learners? How many people here are working in a school that's not a good learner? That's interesting. Could a school not be a good learner? Could a school have a learning disability? It's interesting. Could a department in a school have a learning disability? You see, schools need to be good learners.